Brilliant, Douglas. Cheers.
Perfect. Right. So, yeah, my name's Douglas Blackwood, and same as Carl, just third year, finished my dissertation. So I'll just briefly run you through the findings and some potential applied implications. So essentially, my dissertation was investigating the effects of perceived and received social support from coaches on an athlete's psychological well-being and self-confidence. The psychological well-being and self-confidence have a significant impact on performance. And so from a coaching point of view, it's really important to understand the factors that affect these constructs. And social support has been identified as a significant predictor. Now, self-confidence is the belief in the ability to meet the necessary demands of a task. It's also based heavily on previous experiences, while psychological well-being is said to be a state of mastery, self-acceptance, personal growth, and eudaimonia, so feelings of happiness, pleasure, motivation, for example. And the purpose of the study was to further understand the role coaches play in improving or maintaining athletes' psychological well-being and self-confidence through providing social support. And this differed from previous social support literature as we looked at both perceived and received support at the same time, and specifically from coaches. And we found that received social support and self-confidence predicted psychological well-being, while perceived social support, the coach-athlete relationship, and psychological well-being predicted self-confidence. So if an athlete elicited high received social support scores, they had significantly greater odds of an increased psychological well-being, for example. Now, in an applied setting, that suggests that coaches should provide both types of social support, as we've seen they predict the outcomes, and crucially in a sporting and non-sporting setting. Now, athletes' off-field lives do have a significant impact on their on-field performance, and every athlete encounters pressures in their personal lives. It could be a tough day at work for an amateur athlete or media scrutiny for a professional athlete. Now, that pressure has the potential to impact psychological well-being, which has the potential to impact performance. And so coaches need to mirror this by providing support in that non-sporting setting. Could be asking about the athlete's personal lives or understanding their background. But crucially, being aware for any changes in behaviour that could indicate something going on in their personal lives and potentially seeking an intervention if necessary. Coaches should seek to improve the coach-athlete relationship so that the support they provide is more effective. The research has shown that particularly received social support is more effective if a positive coach-athlete relationship exists. And they should aim to improve an athlete's self-confidence by facilitating success. And that doesn't mean just making it easy, but effective goal-setting strategies, for example. So task-orientated goals rather than outcome goals. You're looking at improving the performance and the skills of an athlete rather than judging them on their performance and results. Now, where you could incorporate all three of these things would be weekly one-on-one meetings with athletes. And this was used with great success by a coach named Rod Ellingworth, who at the time was the under-23 British Cycling Academy coach. And he was there when he produced riders such as Mark Cavendish, Geraint Thomas, these academies' most successful years, really. And this was a strategy he implemented with the help of a well-respected psychiatrist named Professor Steve Peters, you may have heard of. So there is professional backing behind it, essentially. But these sessions were split into three parts, the first of which would be reflecting on the previous week. So what had the athlete done well? What did they need to improve on? And how did they progress towards their targets? The second part would be setting targets for the week to come. So short-term goals, maintaining motivation, improving self-confidence. And the final third would be a chance for athletes to raise any concerns they might have. It could be sporting or non-sporting, but crucially in a confidential setting. And the athlete might have an issue going on in their personal lives that they feel is affecting their performance. They can tell the coach this in a confidential setting without, saying in front of the teammates. Now, team environment should be focused on mastery and personal improvement as opposed to facilitated rivalries. So fighting for positions within teams has been shown to decrease availability of social support and decrease the usage of social support as well. So just to summarise, psychological well-being and self-confidence play an important role in sporting performance. Received social support from coaches predicted psychological well-being, while perceived support and the coach-athlete relationship predicted self-confidence. And so coaches do play a crucial role in providing social support and developing a positive relationship with their athletes so that psychological well-being and self-confidence can be maintained or improved. So thank you very much for listening. Some references here if you're interested. I'm open for any questions.
Brilliant, Douglas. Fantastic presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions? Okay, I'll ask a question. What's your one practical strategy that you could give coaches based on what you've found?
I would say that the one-on-one meetings would be most important. I mean, it's obviously depending on the team size, it's difficult to be able to allocate that much time. In terms of the potential benefits, though, to all three, like self-confidence, psychological well-being, and building that through the coach-athlete relationship, I feel like that's probably the most important. In terms of building the coach-athlete relationship, there are things people can do. I know some coaches ask athletes to write down 3 things about themselves and ways around it for bigger teams. But if possible, I'd say, yeah, weekly one-on-one meetings with athletes. Well, fortnight it could be.
Yeah, so developing that communication
Yeah.
that will then in turn develop the rest of the things. Yeah, brilliant insight, Douglas. Fantastic.